Hey guys, this is Alex Owari from ONG Tax and Accounting Services. So before we start this video, let me throw a word of caution out there. This video is for educational purposes only. It's only meant for guidance. It is not meant to be a legal or tax advice to you or any other person. At any point in time you need a legal or tax advice, you're always advised to seek the help of an attorney or a CPA or an enrolled agent who's going to help you figure some of this out. With that disclaimer out of the way, let's move on and continue our series on the most common compliance checklist for foreign-owned single-member LLCs. This video, we're going to focus on foreign-owned single-member LLCs formed in the state of Texas. It's one of those popular states that I see clients forming their LLCs in. Frankly, I'm not sure what the reason is, but I see a whole bunch of foreigners forming their LLCs in Texas. So we're going to dive straight into the most common compliance checklist. This three checklist assumes all that you are doing is you formed an LLC and you don't have a US trade or business, you don't have any physical presence, you don't have any agents here in the US. And all that you're doing is maybe selling stuff or providing services. And this advice is basically for federal level. So when you're dealing with the state, you need to look at each state one after the other, because what may not be taxable on the federal level may be taxable in the state level. So it's always important. We have 50 states in the union. So whenever we said you're not engaged in US trade or business, we are actually referring to the federal level, but not the state. For the state, you need to review your factors, circumstances one after the other to see if you have a tax filing requirement in any state. Let's move on to the three checklists. Now, the first one is the Proforma 1120 and the 5472. You need to file it in on time to avoid a 25K penalty. So in the previous videos that I have done, I've done so many videos. I've done one for Delaware, Wyoming, New Mexico, and Florida. And I have explained, the reason why you need to file these forms and the specific due date. Now, number two is to file an annual or biannual report or franchise tax, depending on the state. So number two is needed because in most states, in order to keep your LLC active, you need to file these forms to keep them active. Okay. Some states requires an annual report. Other states require biannual report. And then others will require a franchise tax report or nothing at all. But in the state of Texas, there is no annual report. There is a franchise tax report or tax form that you need to complete. So we'll talk about that. We'll go into details with that because that's the main purpose why we're doing this video. The third item on the checklist is to make sure that you're paying your registered agent on time, because registered agents play a very important role in your entity existing as a whole. In most cases, when you don't pay your registered agent, when they get upset or they feel like the contract has been breached, they could actually send their resignation to the Secretary of State, and it could cause your LLC to be administratively dissolved or cause it not to be in good standing. So it's always advisable that you're paying your registered agent and then you're abiding by the contract that you guys have signed. In the previous videos, I have discussed the importance of a registered agent. You can see that based on the things I'm mentioning, a registered agent is very important. So at all costs, make sure that you and your registered agent are in agreement on how the services is going to go. All right. So with those three checklists, let's look at the second one, which is the reporting requirement. So what kind of reporting requirement exists in Texas for foreign owners of single member LLC? The good news is that Texas does not have an annual report. However, they do impose a state franchise tax on LLCs. So the fact that you formed your LLC in Texas brings you under this reporting requirement, or the fact that you have an LLC doing business in Texas also brings you under this reporting requirement. And in some cases, I have seen sellers that have registered for sales tax and use tax certificate in Texas, and they are also come under this franchise tax reporting requirement. So it's very important that you're taking notice of this stuff. But for this purpose, we're dealing with LLCs that are formed or organized in Texas, or LLCs that are considered to be doing business in Texas. You have to file a state franchise tax. Now, for 2021, there's not going to be any tax due if your Texas gross revenue or gross receipt is less than $1,180,000 in 2021. Now, when we say Texas gross receipt, we mean that gross receipt that is generated specifically in Texas. It does not include gross receipts that you've generated from other states, especially. And this goes to foreigners that are not here. So for example, let's assume you're selling on Amazon, okay, during 2021. And during the entire 2021, you had 2 million sales. Let's just say 1 million sales were generated in New York and 1 million was generated in Texas. When you file your annual report, you're only going to report the 1 million that was generated in Texas. You do not report the 2 million because part of it was not generated in Texas. So when you use that equation or you use that analysis, then it means that your Texas gross revenue is really less than 1,180,000 and there's no tax due. But you still need to file the franchise tax return even when there's no tax due. Alright, so the Texas franchise tax may be filed online at the Texas Comptroller of Public Accounts CPA web portal. We'll go in there and I'll show you how this looks like and how you can register and file it. It's also advisable that if you don't know what you're doing, you hire a tax attorney or a CPA or an enrolled agent to help you file it. We file these forms for foreign owners of single member LLCs every year, and we file a whole bunch of them. So if you need help, you can always reach out to me and I will help you file these forms. Now, the Texas franchise tax report is due on May 15 each year. So if May 15 falls on a Saturday, Sunday, or legal holiday, then the next business day becomes the due date. Alright, so one example that we can use is if you registered your LLC on May 15, 2021, the Texas franchise tax report is going to be due on or before May 15, 2022, May 15, 2023, May 15, 2024, and so on and so forth. Now, let's give you another example. Let's say you organize your LLC in Texas on December 15, 2021. Using the same logic, your Texas franchise tax is going to be due on or before May 15, 2022, May 15, 2023, May 15, 2024. So the May 15 date is always key. So I hope that you take note of these dates and then act on it accordingly. Alright, so we are in the Comptroller of Texas web portal. For anyone that's looking to file Texas franchise tax return or report, this is the website that you go to. So here you're going to register. Once you register, you're going to get your account set up and then you can file electronically. Now, you could also use an attorney or a CPA to file it for you if they have a tax software that does that. So you don't have to go through this hassle. So you could do it through online filing. And then they have helpful videos here you can watch. When you're here, you can read who must file or pay electronically. So for example, it say all no tax due report after January 1/16 must be filed electronically. So they want these forms to be filed electronically. Now, in here, let's look at what the due dates are. Now, let's confirm the due date for the franchise tax. So you scroll down and click here. So when you click here, it gives you all the dates of the various type of tax returns that you file in the state of Texas. Now, in our case, we're going to narrow down to franchise taxes. Okay, so let's narrow down our search to franchise tax. When I narrow it down, I see bank franchise tax and I don't deal with banks. So let's look at this. Now, a first franchise tax return or first extension request must be done on 16. You remember that I said forms are usually due on May 15, unless the dates actually fall on a holiday or a weekend, then the next business day becomes the due date. So in this case, May 15 actually is a Sunday. So May 16 is when this form is due. When you go on here, you have the May 16 due date. Yeah, so basically, this is the website. When you come here, if you have an account already, you just click in and then you log in. If you do not have an account, then all that you have to do is to sign up for one. You create a profile and then you sign up for one. I hope that this video helps you, and if you need help with your Texas franchise tax report or the return, just hit me up and then I'll be happy to help you out. And if you also need further consultation or you want to talk to me, please use the link below to book an appointment with me. Thank you, and I hope that your business flourish as you continue to do business with one of the greatest and the powerful countries in the world. Thanks, and you have a good day. Bye.